Hello and welcome back to the Tomorrow Money Show, where we talk about money, technology, and the future of finance in Zimbabwe and across Africa. Today, we are taking an unexpected turn to talk a little bit about law and a little bit about policy, finance policy to be exact, as it relates to the digital services withholding tax that went into effect this January. I want to talk about it because it relates to payments, and we can't talk about the future of payments without talking about crypto. And you can be rest assured, whenever there is talk of crypto, I will be there. Is this text badly written? My argument today is simple. Yes, it is, and not because 15% is a high fee, but because the language, structure, and assumptions behind the text make it extremely difficult to implement in the real world. Before we begin, a quick but important disclaimer. I am not a lawyer, I am not a tax professional, and nothing in this episode should be taken as legal or tax advice. This episode is an opinionated analysis of public tax law, language, and policy design. I take no responsibility for how listeners choose to use this information. A good text has three qualities. Before I criticize this text, let me define what a good text looks like. A well-designed text should be clear in its scope, be easy to administer, and be hard to avoid unintentionally. The digital services withholding tax struggles on all three fronts. Problem number one, Treasury had to clarify the law. This is the biggest red flag. After the tax was introduced, there was confusion about whether it applied to imported physical goods, e-commerce platforms like Amazon, and products already subject to VAT and customs duty. Treasury later came out to clarify that goods subject to VAT and customs duty are not affected by the digital services withholding tax. Here's the problem. That exemption is not clearly stated in the original statutory language. In tax law, clarity matters more than the intention. If Treasury is to issue clarifications immediately after enforcement begins, it usually means the law was overbroad or imprecise. It's kind of hard for a bank to enforce intentions on behalf of revenue collectors. They enforce text, they enforce written text. This will create confusion and customer disputes. Problem number two, the tax only applies to intermediaries, which is banks and payments processors like Omari. This is not a small issue. The law places all the obligations on the intermediary for withholding, reporting, remittance, and all the penalties. Me as the payer, I've no reporting obligations. This means the tax does not attach to the transaction itself. It attaches only to a specific payment channel. If there is no intermediary, the law has nothing to grab onto. From a police perspective, this is a fragile design. It assumes all digital payments must pass through banks. That assumption is no longer true with crypto readily available for making payments. Problem number three, banks are being asked to do the impossible task in terms of implementing this. Banks and card processors receive very limited information from Visa or MasterCard whenever there's a transaction. Typically, they just see mentioned name, mentioned category code, transaction amount, and country. They do not see what was purchased, whether it was a digital service or a physical product, or whether VAT will later be paid at the border. So when the law says withhold 15% on digital service, it is effectively asking banks to guess for every payment if it qualifies for digital service. Again, customers will complain for over withholding. And If the banks don't offer withhold, they are to be held liable and made to pay penalties by Zimra. This shifts enormous legal and operational risk onto financial institutions for decisions they are not equipped to make. There is also a problem with mixed merchants. Take a platform like Amazon, for example, which sells both physical goods subject to VAT at the ports of entry, digital books that can be interpreted as digital service, streaming, which is obviously a digital service, and so on. From a payment message alone, a bank cannot tell which part of the platform you used and whether VAT will be paid later in the case of a physical product. Problem number 4 is that the law punishes compliance. Ironically, the people most affected by these takes are banked individuals and formal businesses. Those using crypto and offshore cards are largely unaffected. The more compliant you are, the more taxes you pay. This text was written for a bank-centric system and centralized payment rails. But we now live in a world of crypto, stable coins, and peer-to-peer payments. This is why regulators and lawmakers have to evolve with time and make laws aligned with the future of the financial system. This has been the Tomorrow Money Show. If you found this episode useful, share it. If you disagree, that's even better. Let's talk about it. My name is Mnyaradzi Togarepi. Thank you for listening.